It's lucky number 13 for the UConn women's basketball team. Plus, it's been a jam-packed spring season of sports. But first, we'll start off with one of the biggest stories of the week as James Bouknight has declared for the NBA draft. I'm Julia Gintof.
And I'm Noam Watt. All that plus our Husky High Five and lots more coming up right now on UC Sports. James Bouknight declared for the NBA draft on Wednesday as he prepares to join a litany of UConn players in the NBA. The sophomore averaged 18.7 points per game this past season, including a 40-piece against Creighton in December. His UConn career didn't start off so smoothly as he was suspended for the first 3 games of his freshman season for an incident just prior to the season, but Bouknight rebounded, grew as a player and a person, and after his sophomore year, here's what he had to say on Wednesday afternoon about declaring to go pro.
I've been thinking about it for the longest, like ever since I started playing basketball. So for it to actually be like almost a reality is crazy to me. This whole thing is just like so surreal right now. Like just 2 years ago, I was a high school kid, man. Like everything's just been so surreal. So that just adds to it, being able to be talked about with those big names.
So Julia, what are some of your reactions to the news, and how will you remember Bouknight's time at UConn?
You know, Noam, I wish he stayed, and it's obviously sad to see him go, but I think it was the smartest decision for him at this time. Despite his shaky ending and just the injury that he had, he really helped bring us back to national prominence, and I feel like that will stick. I don't doubt that with Coach Hurley at the helm, we will become any less than what we are. I think the next step for UConn is just working to fill his spot, and I'm excited to see what these new prospects have to offer.
Yeah, right. And something that Hurley kept emphasizing today was just how happy he was for Bouknight to go pro. You know, this isn't a program that wants to hold guys back selfishly, thinking that they can win more when a guy stays for another year. This is a program that wants kids to come in to develop themselves, to help the program win while they're here, and then ultimately to make the next step towards the NBA where they can make a future for themselves, for their family. As for the women's side, it's been business as usual. They are headed to their 13th straight Final Four, despite playing in some unusual circumstances. The Huskies overcame the absence of Gino Auriemma during the first week of the tournament and got past superstar Caitlin Clark in the Sweet 16 to set up a showdown in the Elite Eight with Baylor, a game that really felt more like a national championship than a regional final.
Now, this was a great game, Noam. Baylor has been a tough matchup for us, and Monday's game was no different. Paige Bueckers did her thing once again right out of the gate as she led the show with 28 points. Kristen Williams followed behind with 25, but despite stellar scoring, the Lady Bears continued to match the Huskies' intensity. UConn saw themselves down by 10 at one point late in the third, around the same time that Baylor's best defender, Dee Richards, would go down with a hamstring injury. And that would ultimately be the advantage that the Huskies needed and prompted them on a run in which they would never look back. The Huskies secured a 69-67 victory, but not without controversy. In the final minute of the matchup, Baylor's Dejanay Carrington went up for a jumper, which could have been seen as a foul, although there was no call. Bears head coach, as well as several people on social media, were shocked by the call, LeBron James even tweeting about it. Gino Auriemma bit back at critics, citing another no call during the game in which he felt Paige was fouled. Regardless, the Huskies escaped the Bears and will move on to the Final Four, where they will face off against Arizona on Friday at 9:30 p.m.
Yeah, and we were talking right before we got on air just how kind of unwarranted all that banter about that last play was. First of all, I really objectively don't think it was a foul. Second of all, the refs let them play all game long. Third of all, Kim Mulkey had nothing to say about the 19-0 run UConn went on during the game. Instead, all she could do was complain about that no call. So you know what? We'll take the win. Baylor takes the L. They can drive back to, Waco and go continue the rest of their spring. Plus, another good W for the women is that Paige Bueckers was named the AP Player of the Year on Wednesday, the first freshman to ever earn the honor. Just a spectacular season from Bueckers. Now we move to UConn baseball. The team has waited for months and months, but they finally opened up Elliott Ballpark last week, and boy, oh boy, it is a gem. Stunning all-turf field, a large scoreboard out in right field, and just state-of-the-art facilities all around. And the Huskies' play there has been pretty darn good too. They beat Central Connecticut in the opener last week, then took 2 of 3 from URI over the weekend and crushed Boston College on Tuesday, a game that saw Chris Winkle go deep twice in a 12-0 win as the Huskies improved to 10-12 overall. They'll face UMass at home again this weekend.
UConn softball opened a brand new Burrell Family Field as well, just as beautiful, and they're doing just as well. They finished this past weekend with a 3-game sweep against Butler. Peyton Kinney earned Big East Pitcher of the Week, pitching in all 3 games with 14 strikeouts in the series. Jonas Sandin secured Big East Freshman for the 2nd week in a row, batting .667 and hitting a home run. The Huskies will take to the field this weekend in Chicago, where they'll take on the DePaul Blue Demons in another 3-game matchup.
Yeah, it's been a busy spring season for sure, but there's been just win after win for so many of these teams. A lot of them over 500 or heating up right now. You look at women's soccer, Margaret Rodriguez doing a brilliant job with that team this season. They stand at 7-2-1 and in 2nd place of the Big East Division. Randy Palacios, the goalie, has posted 3 straight shutouts for the Huskies, while Yamile Evelard, Kess Elmore, and Isabel Lynch lead the team with 3 goals apiece. UConn travels to Seton Hall for a Saturday matinee.
Sort of a contrast to that. Still without head coach Ray Reid, the UConn men's soccer team struggled once again this past weekend, falling to Seton Hall 1-0. They took on Villanova on Wednesday, and it was just more of the same with another loss 4-1. Offense has obviously proved to be very difficult for the Huskies this season, UConn only managing 2 shots on goal against the Pirates. This brings their overall record in conference play to 0-5-1. They hope to find a win at Georgetown on Saturday. Husky lacrosse continues to shine, easily handling Butler over the weekend. Junior Grace Kuhn had 4 goals, and Sydney Watson secured Big East Midfielder of the Week yet again. Huskies are on a roll early with a 4-0 start to Big East play. They face a tough challenge in an upcoming 2-game series home against the University of Denver.
Yeah, for those wondering, the University of Denver is somehow in the Big East, which among many sports questions that go through my mind, that one's probably at the top of the list. Anyways, another team that's actually in the Big East and belongs there is the UConn field hockey team. Not only do they belong there, but they dominate there. And that has continued this season under new head coach Paul Caddy. The Huskies are 7-1 overall, with 4 of their remaining 5 games coming on the road, though. They're currently outscoring opponents, get this, 36-6 on the year. And Sophie Hamilton leads the team with 11 goals. Now, switching gears to an indoor sport, the UConn volleyball team thought their season had come to a close following last weekend's sweep of Seton Hall, but COVID issues within the Providence program forced the Friars to shut down their season, and UConn was selected to replace them in the Big East tournament. A little bit of a gift there for the Huskies, who will take on top-seeded Creighton on Friday. In addition, Kaylee Parker was named the Offensive Player of the Week in the Big East.
UConn men's track and field team won the UConn Spring Invite this past weekend and their first of 3 home meets this spring. On the women's side, the team did just as well, also winning the UConn Spring Invite, highlighted by a win in the 4x400 relay that sealed the victory for the overall meet.
And UConn football was in the middle, or actually the end of spring practice, when they were shut down earlier this week due to positive COVID tests amongst Tier 1 personnel. The Huskies had all but 3 practices, and while there was a great sense of optimism around the team, there is still a lot of uncertainty, mainly who is leading the quarterback competition. The starter from 2019 was Jack Sergiotis, but freshman Tyler Pumachai is expected to compete as well as returners Michael Leone and Steven Krajewski. For now, let's send it over to Ryan Panny with this week's Husky High Five Plays of the Week.
What's up, everybody? I'm Ryan Panny. I'm here with another edition of the Husky High Five. Let's roll the tape. Opening week of the new LA ballpark, and Chris Winkle already making himself feel at home with a line shot off the scoreboard to right, helping the Huskies pass the Eagles 12-0. At number 4, Paige Beckers does her thing as she hits this big-time 3, sparking the Huskies on a 19-0 run, an eventual victory over the Bears, advancing them to their 13th straight Final Four. We head back to the diamond for number 3 as Kyler Fedko brings the defense for the Huskies with not 1, but 2 incredible wall catches, making the outs look easy this past Tuesday. At number 2, Devin Costanza nukes the softball over the left field wall for the first ever home run at the new Burrell Ballpark. And at number 1, it's Aaliyah Edwards and Olivia Nelson-Dota with Defensive Play of the Year, preventing Baylor from taking the lead in the final seconds of the game. That's all the highlights we have here for today. Stay tuned for next week's Husky High Five.
Lots to look forward to this weekend, but that's all the time we have today on UC Sports. Don't forget to subscribe to us here on YouTube at UCTV Channel 14 for press conferences and more updates from the UConn sports world. For Noam Watt and the rest of our team, I'm Julia Gintof. We'll see you next week.